Australian basketball player Maddie Garrick came past the studio as we discuss her journey playing ball in Italy and Mexico over the last 12 months.
I'm not done with doing things in my life. I'm choosing me for once.
If you started your basketball career again,
Wow.
what would you do differently?
Come and join us.
Let's go, Rush! Would you like to meet Shaq or get a Cam Johnson signed jersey? How about an NBA 2K video game? These are some of the previous prizes I've given away, and you can get exclusive access to these competitions by becoming a member of my basketball community. Have you ever thought about asking your favorite basketball player a question? Now you can. Become a producer of my YouTube show and help me create amazing interviews with basketball stars. Join my community now. There's a link in the video description below. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Rush. Today, I've got Maddie Garrick in the building. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yes.
You're becoming a regular.
I know. It's great. It's great to see what you're doing. It's great to watch all of these little clips and stuff that you're doing. It's really cool. So every time I come back, it's advanced. I've got some new stuff in the studio today as well.
Yeah, new coffee beans.
New coffee beans. I'm just soaking that up right now.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you because you've been quite busy the last 12 months. You were on the show a good 12 months ago, but since then you've been overseas playing basketball. Do you want to fill us in, and where have you been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. I was just supposed to go overseas for about 8 months to Europe. That's how long their season is. So I was in Italy. I was really lucky in the location that I was in.
Whereabouts in Italy?
Yeah, I was in a small town called San Giovanni Valdarno. I lived in the next town called Montevacchi. I'm working on my Italian, as you can do.
The accent is on point.
And it was really funny because when I got there, my teammates were like, why? Like, why did you come to this small town? Like, out of all places you could have gone in Italy, why did you come here? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about, small town? It is beautiful. Like, everywhere you go in Italy is just like, the buildings are incredible, the people are great, like, just everything is so picturesque. It's incredible.
Amazing.
So yeah, I was there for 8 months, and then my coach was Italian, and he was friends with a coach that was coaching in the Mexican League. And so towards the end of the season, my coach was like, oh, so they're looking for a player to go play in the Mexican League. It's kind of like a summerish league. It's a little bit more fun. Wouldn't say more fun, but they said at the time it's a little bit more relaxed. You get to play a little bit more games, less training. I mean, that was false information because that season in the 4 months was hectic, but it's been so crazy, and it's kind of wild to think that it's already been 11 months. You know, when you're busy and the time just flies, but so many incredible experiences, so many amazing people that I've met, and I just like, I don't know, something in when I got to Italy, it just made me, I don't know, just opened my eyes up to a whole lot of things.
Oh, and, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just like, I talked about it to a few people. I'm like, I just found myself in such a deep place of gratitude and just appreciation for life, because that was the other thing that drew me to playing over in Europe, is not obviously the basketball, but just the way of life. You know, we go about our life and we get into a cycle of our daily routines. I'm like, there's people on the other side of the world in different like countries doing the same thing, but in their way, like in their cultures. And I was like, I am just so drawn to go immerse myself into that and just experience life in a different country.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I was going to say, I can feel your energy is like so positive. You look so healthy. So it's obviously doing wonders for you. So.
I think you must be the Mexican tan. It's wearing off though. It's been a little bit cloudy here in Melbourne, but no.
Well, so what I'm curious to know is, like, say last time we caught up, it seemed like life was great. Everything was, you know, doing really well for you here. Why make the decision to go overseas? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, I knew it was something I wanted to do. So I had played in Turkey for a short-term contract for a few months in 2019. So obviously with the WNBL here, it's a shorter season in comparison to, European seasons. And so I had the opportunity back then to experience a short version of that. And since playing that and just the style and the caliber of players and how they did everything there really interested me. I had some ankle issues at the time that I knew in order for me to go over there, it's going to be, you know, twice as hard, more trainings, more games, a lot more demanding on the body. And so I knew I had to get like an ankle reco before I went over there, just for, you know, injuries and whatever. In the meantime, COVID hit, so you know how that goes. We're all very familiar with that little thing where I think everyone's pretty familiar with what happened. But I had my ankle reco at that time as well, so kind of I didn't miss out on basketball. It was actually a really good time to do it. And then I played, I think maybe two seasons here in the WNBL, and then I was like, you know what, it's time for me to go overseas. And yeah, I'm just always I'm always intrigued by new experiences and new people. And I mean, I had a great run in here. It's not finished for sure. I'm just, you know, on a hiatus overseas, traveling while I can. And yeah, I was just so intrigued just to do something else. Like I had 15 years here in the league. Something like that. Yeah. And
surely you're only about 23, 24,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you know, still fresh. Hey, well, this is what's so funny though. You know, I was 30 years old when I went over to Italy, and people, it's really funny, as soon as you hit 30, especially in women's sport and basketball, it's like, oh, when are you going to start thinking about retirement or like a family and all that sort of stuff? And I'm like, you know, I dedicated my whole life to play the sport that I love, and you know, I made the choice to be a parent later on, and people are like, okay, well, you're 30, your body must be getting there, you know, whatever. And like, I went overseas and I feel like I'm 25 again, like just the way I'm 25 but playing with a 30-year-old mindset. So it's like, I don't know, it's just the whole thing. And it's, when I was talking about the gratitude thing, it's just, I knew when I went over there I was going to give it absolutely everything that I have. And that was working on my mindset, that was going back, it was meditating, like really getting into things that I had done, but on the days where you're a bit busy or tired, you're like, okay, I'll just do it tomorrow, and then it might be like 2 or 3 days. And then I just made a promise to myself that I was going to do everything properly. And it's the whole thing. I know it's so cliche. It's like, if you put good energy out there, if you work on yourself and being happy, then things will start coming back, things will start changing. I started playing probably the best basketball I've ever had, I have done in my life. And, you know, so many amazing things happened from that. So it was just, that's a very long-winded answer. I'm so sorry you have to cut all of that, but...
No, that's great. Well, let's expand a little bit more on it. Like, why do you think you made such a big change? Is it because you went over there and you had more time to yourself and gave you a chance to meditate and do all this type of thing? Or is it because just the culture over there is different? And expand a bit more on that, because it's interesting.
I think certainly the time that I had to myself, I just knew that I was going to do those things, and I needed to create that space for myself as well. And I guess I wouldn't call it selfish, because I think these things are very important. But I had the space and the time to do that. But in saying that, the training schedule was crazy. Like, we could be training 2-3 times a day, 2 hours on court each time. So, you know, fitting it in, but creating a time slot every day to do that, rather than, I'll just do it like a little bit later, or, you know, and then later you might be tired, but just... I mean, I've started reading books again, and just, you know, just really making that time, that conscious effort and that time to do it properly. Because it's like, you know, you go to the gym and you do some bicep curls, you're not going to grow biceps in one day. You know, it's over time. So I knew that as much as I love going to the gym, I now needed to do the brain and internal gym as well. But yeah, I think it's just mainly the time that I had. And as I said, I just, I wanted to make that change. And I think also from having people and, you know, the league here saying, you're 30 years old, you must be thinking about it. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm going to show you that I'm not ready right now to do what you think I should be doing.
That's dope. So would you say, are you a role player on the, let's just say in Italy, let's start with Italy, are you like a role player on the team over there? Is it because you're getting more minutes, or just like, is it more the lifestyle? Like, what's the the reason for feeling like you're 25?
Yeah, definitely, because if you're a foreigner, you have to perform. Like, it is so cutthroat over there. If you don't perform within like 1-2 games, they'll send you home like the next day. So I knew I had to perform, and I knew I had to do the things that I had to focus on and be consistent in a lot of areas, not just scoring, but, you know, defense, being a good teammate, all that sort of stuff. And if I had, you know, a shooting slump, because that happens during a season, rather than being stuck on it, it's like, okay, well, I can create my reality of what's going to happen next. I have the power to focus on the things that I can control in a game. And I mean, that wasn't just on the court, but I felt so happy and so like grateful for where I was in my life. And this new experience that it just translated onto the court.
What happens with the language barrier? Because I'm always curious, like say in Italy or Mexico, is the coach speaking to you in English, Spanish, Italian?
Yeah.
What's the communication like with the players? Yeah, how does that all go down?
Yeah, so it is like a mixed bag. You can go to teams that the coaches don't speak English. You can go to the teams where the players don't speak English. But I was super lucky that my coach spoke English. Obviously, he was Italian, and most of my teammates, bar a few, spoke English or enough English to be able to communicate. But I mean, it was kind of fun at the same time. They obviously taught me all the most important words, which are not
PG.
Yeah. Which are yes, not PG most of the time. But, you know, just learning the common words from hearing them speak, and it's good fun. And the other thing is too, for me when I got there, they couldn't understand a word of what I was saying. Like, not even the girls that could speak good English. They were
Because
like,
of the Australian accent?
The Australian accent. And when I went over there, I had more of the kind of Aussie ochre coming from the country.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, hey gun. And, you know, they're just like, you speak so fast and, like, we can't understand a word speaking that slang. And so I had to learn how to speak slower and proper. And by the end of it, 11 months, I had people ask, was I from like England or something? Like, was I, English? I was like, oh my God, no, I'm Australian.
Do you find yourself just in general speaking much slower now because you've had to adjust to doing that?
Yes, yeah. I mean, maybe not on here. But since being back for a couple of weeks and hanging out with some people who have, you know, a thicker Aussie accent, it's been really nice to kind of bring it back. I sent a voice note to a few of my teammates, and they're like, oh my God, we don't understand like what you're saying like,
Oh boy.
anymore. So no, it's good.
Well, let's talk about food, because we all know Mexican and Italian food is absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Does that actually cause any problems, like being an athlete, because you're trying to hold back on all the amazing pasta and tacos? Or do you find yourself being able to control yourself living in Italy or Mexico and sticking to your diet?
I don't know if control myself is the right word. The thing, or we'll talk about Mexican food first. It's not like we have it here. It's obviously very westernized. It's still yummy. It's very spicy. Like when I first got there, and my friend's like, oh yeah, you know, try this. And I'm like, is it hot? They're like, no, it's like just a little bit. Never trust a Mexican when they say is something spicy, because that is very, very spicy. And I don't deal well with spice, so a lot of the times I didn't have it. But I was super lucky with the team I was in. They had a team chef, so every day they would cook. It'd be like a little buffet, I guess. Anything that you wanted, they'd cook. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner was always made there, and they cooked it at the stadium. And if we didn't have training, they would deliver it to the hotel.
Okay, I can see why you don't want to come back.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And I was going to say, what is Mexican basketball culture like? Because I don't tend to think basketball, you know, when you hear Mexico.
Sure, yes.
So, yeah, what is the scene there like? They have a big culture of basketball?
Yeah, they have a huge culture. Like, the following there, the fans are absolutely, like, crazy in a great way. They're just fanatic fans. And the team I played for, like, that was probably one of the best following and best fans that I have played in front of. They were crazy. They were loud. The stadium was like packed, even though it was a big stadium and it wasn't completely filled up. They made it feel like it was like overly packed. And yeah, they just got involved, and it's like, and it's hard sometimes when you go play another team, like an away team, because their fans are then crazy as well.
Yeah.
But their style is very, very physical. Probably the most physical league I played in.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But honestly, I didn't know that they had a league there.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But again, an opportunity. It's amazing what opportunities can come from another opportunity, and that's how.
So where were you in? Where were you in Mexico exactly?
I was in a town called Querétaro, which is about 3 hours. Let me get my bearings. It's 3 hours from Mexico City, so I think it's 3 hours south.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I did not realize how big Mexico was. It is huge. Like, I had a few friends that were just over traveling and stuff. They're like, oh, I think I'm in the next town to you, or like next city. I was like, yeah, come over. And then I would like look on Google Maps and it'd be like 8 hour drive. And it's literally, next door. And as soon as I signed in Mexico, the first thing I did was, okay, so how far is Cancun? I was like, surely it's like, it's not that far. It was a 23-hour drive from where I was.
Oh, wow, it's that big of a country.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean, that was like close, I guess.
And how do you feel off the basketball court in terms of safety? Because I hear a lot of crazy stories about Mexico. Do they tell you like, oh, whatever you do, don't go here, or you had security guards? Like, what was the vibe like off the court?
Yeah, well, the city I was in was one of the safest cities in Mexico. So I felt safe. We had a team bus that drove us everywhere, so we didn't have to worry about driving. Ubers were super cheap. We lived right next to one of the biggest malls in, it was the biggest mall in that city. So that was like easy to get to. But yeah, no, it was fine. Obviously, you would probably want to travel more in pairs if you not after night and whatever. But where I was pretty safe. But I went to the All-Star weekend, and some of the girls and other teams were like, we have security guards like outside our hotel. We can't go anywhere by ourselves. So yeah, I got super lucky with that as well. Yeah.
And did you have a preference between playing in Mexico and Italy?
Italy, hands down.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh. So then going back to the question before about food and stuff, the Italian food. Oh my gosh.
Next level.
It is so fresh, and like it's very it's not overly complicated in terms of like the ingredients and stuff, but how they cook things and how fresh everything is. Like you go to the supermarket and it'd be like you get some fruit or something, and within like a day or so it's already starting to go off because there's nothing like preserving it. But the other thing is, I was over there and because I work with a nutritionist, and I've been working with her for, I don't know, 8 years about 8 years. And I was like, Dom, I'm eating so much, and like I'm trying, but because we train so much. And so, you just naturally will shed a few kilos and muscle and stuff. It's very European body-like to do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what can I do? And she obviously had tracked my eating plans for a year. She was like, oh my gosh, you're eating so much. And she said because the food is so fresh that the metabolism just burns it up even quicker.
Ah, wow,
so
that's interesting.
Like your metabolism is just so happy that it's just like, all right, give me some more. And yeah, it's but again, you're training so much that it's basically you wake up, you train. However many hours that is in the morning, you might lift, definitely do an on-court session, go home, have a nap. Even shops close at like 1 o'clock, I think,
they
or
do
1:30.
the siestas,
and then you go back and train again.
You're just living the life, aren't you?
And then you go home, you eat, you go to sleep. It's literally wake up, eat, play, ball, go to sleep, repeat. Like it's just, it's crazy, but it's been incredible. Yes.
So, we're speaking about a lot of the good times. Have you faced any difficulties about being over in Italy or Mexico? Is there any hard times, things that you've found like a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious is being away from home for so long. And my brother and my sister-in-law had a little boy, so the first nephew of the family, and so I didn't get to meet him until I came back here a few weeks ago. So he was already 5 months old, or close to 5 months old. And obviously being special, being family, but also the first one in the family. And then just, you just get tired. Like anything, you get a little bit homesick. I thought I was going to get more homesick than I did, but I was just loving it so much. But yeah, for sure, I miss my family and my friends. And when you get really tired and exhausted and depleted at times.
Is there a big difference between Italian basketball and Australian basketball? Like, where does the Italian game stand compared to the Australian game?
Yeah, I mean, most countries have a different style of playing. Obviously, the Europeans and like the Italians and stuff, they're just like, everything is running. More is more when it comes to training. It's quick. It's everything's running. So that would probably be the biggest difference is just the pace of it and how quick it is. It's physical. And you can come across so many different, I guess, people who have had different experiences in the world, played in all different places overseas, people Euro Cup, Euro League. So the caliber of players there the pool is a lot bigger. There's a lot more teams than here. So yeah, you're exposed to different styles and of players, but also a style of basketball.
And you're heading back
Yes.
this Saturday to Italy? So
yes.
how long do you anticipate you're going to be back there for? Is it like, will you never play in Australia again? Like, what's your kind of, I guess, near future looking like?
Yeah, I mean, 8 months is the season, basically. I'm very much like, all right, let's do it, see where it takes me, open to all experiences. I would love to come back here and play a season or two before I retire, or, another point in time. But, I'm just kind of, let's see what happens. Like, I went over to Italy and then I got a Mexican contract. I'm going back to Italy. Who knows where it might take me or what might happen next. But I certainly do want to come back at some point soon to play in the league again here.
Are there any Aussie girls over there in the Italian league that you've come up against?
Yeah, Nicole Romeo, she has an Italian passport as well. So she's been playing there for, Rome's maybe like 6 years. Maybe this might be her 7th, maybe more. And I think there was a few girls that ended up coming over before the playoffs, or to play the playoffs as well. But I think there's more opportunities, like the girls that are going to the college system now. That's increasing. I think there will probably be more girls that will go over to the European season. So yeah, it's cool.
That's cool. So what would you say over the last 12 months is the biggest lesson that you've learned about yourself?
Wow, how much time do we have?
Therapy session begins.
This is free for everyone out here. Well, I think the first thing is I chose myself and to push myself to go and do something that excited me but scared me at the same time. And not scared in a bad way, but just like the unknown as well. And I read a quote somewhere and it was basically saying that if something excites you but makes you nervous in a good way or scares you, then that's where you should go. I'm so certain on that, because for sure I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be going overseas, but at the same time it's like, I'm going to be going overseas. And so it's the way you think about things. And the biggest lesson for me is really honing in on doing the things, like I said before, like reading, listening, meditating, practicing mindfulness and gratitude. And I know that's they're terms that are used widely now and commonly, but I experienced that, and I experienced the benefits of actually consistently doing that. And I think I know that's why I had such an incredible time, because I wanted it to be great, and I was going to do everything to make sure that I made it great as well. And as I said before, like if you're putting good things out and you're putting that gratitude, you're putting that happiness out, those things come back to you in certain ways and different ways. And they'll translate if you're playing a sport from your life to the court and vice versa. And so for me, the biggest, I wouldn't say lesson, it was just like such an eye-opening experience as a player, but as a person and just in life. And I got there and I was like, you know what, I am not done. I'm not done with doing things in my life. I'm not done with exploring, experience things. And I just, I'm choosing me for once.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, yeah, congratulations, because I think
thanks.
I can just feel your energy.
Yeah.
You seem so positive, you look healthy, and you just seem so clear-headed. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
look, let's talk Women's World Cup soccer. It's been obviously
Oh
a
my
huge deal here
Yep.
around the world, but particularly in Australia. Crowds have been enormous. Viewing's been through the roof.
So good.
Yeah, how's it affected you as a professional female athlete? What has it done for you?
Yeah, I think just first and foremost, just as a female, being so proud of, and obviously a female athlete, just being so proud of what they've achieved and so thankful at the same time. I saw her interview Sam Kerr and she was just saying that people don't say good luck anymore or, good luck for your game, blah, blah, blah. It's like, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Instead, like, thank you for what you've done. And I think that we needed we needed a women's sport team to show the rest of the world, to show the rest of the nation just how important women's sport is to bringing a nation together, to sport in general, and how amazing and powerful women can be on the field and what we deserve. And it just goes to show, when you invest into women's sports and they have the same opportunities and facilities and infrastructure and support, blah, 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 then look what we can do. We can be amazing. And they've been an absolute pleasure to watch, and it's like they just completely united a nation. And now you see already the impact that they've had. There's a Rugby Australia stuff going on. There's was it $200 million into women's sport?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, huge.
All of this stuff. And unfortunately, it's sad that it's taken this long, but we cannot go backwards from here. So there's so many different things that we can talk about in this, and it's just as a fellow female sport person or player, it's just really incredible to see this, and it's kind of like relief, and hopefully we can just keep jumping on this success of these women, and show what other sports can and women in other sports can do if provided with the right opportunities.
Do you feel a lot of the success from the women's soccer will trickle into the women's basketball here in Australia and around the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just, that trend in women's sport, and just to know that people know now that women are incredible athletes as well. We knew that before, but there wasn't that investment into it. So it can only get better. Yeah.
And I know that prior to going overseas, you had a huge presence, and you still do, on social media, but obviously your schedule is very busy now. Do you still enjoy making, TikTok reels and creating content, or is it purely just you just don't have the time and the energy to put into it like you used to?
I certainly don't have the time like I used to, but I still enjoy doing it, especially, there's some people that can't travel overseas for whatever reasons. There's people that haven't been to Italy. There's people who haven't been overseas or whatever. So I love sharing that side of it now. I would love to do more coaching stuff. I love to get back on the baller beat stuff, but it's certainly at the moment just really being mindful of the impact of that I'm putting onto my body outside of training, because that's already super, super high. But don't know, maybe you'll see me do some baller beats outside like the Colosseum or something. maybe
That'd
not.
be cool.
Yeah. that could be cool.
That could be a viral, actually that's not a bad idea, that could be like a viral moment.
That could be, no one steal my idea, please.
Okay, so here's a question I'm curious to ask you. If you started your basketball career again,
Wow.
what would you do differently?
I would have loved to go play college ball. It wasn't
In
like
the
a
US?
huge, yeah. It wasn't like a huge thing for my age group, my generation, my generation. But it just wasn't a thing. Like a lot of girls didn't go over. It was kind of, we were told to stay here in this system, but I would have loved to do that. I would have played overseas earlier if I could, and I would have got into more of the mental performance training a lot earlier as well.
What's that?
Just like visualizing,
Like goal setting? That type
yeah,
of
goal
thing?
setting, but just really, the guided meditations in terms of performance, the manifesting, the positive visualization, working with a sports psychologist a lot earlier, or a mind coach or whatever, in my career, because it's something now that's just, it's obviously people know about it, but it's still not quite implemented. It's still kind of fresh in that sense. So I would have done that a lot earlier. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so to finish off, big question.
Oh,
Can you share your biggest dream with me?
my biggest dream. My biggest dream. I mean, obviously, it's always been, since I started playing, I would love to go to the Olympics. My road to that now is a little bit harder, with some disappointments with, obviously haven't been in the Open squad for a while. The disappointment with the 3x3 squad and being kind of cut out of nowhere with Beck and Alice, for little to no explanation why, but just maybe just a youthful rebrand. But what I've learned is nothing's impossible. And that's what I'm learning now, and that's why I'm saying I would have liked to have got into all this mind stuff a lot earlier in my career and really honed down on it. But I think now, honestly, my biggest dream are still those things. We're still going to the Olympics, but it's just squeezing everything out of my career that I can, and just being so happy with what I've done. And that's obviously come from playing over in Italy and playing in Mexico and going to these countries, meeting people, playing in different styles and everything, and just really appreciating everything as it comes along, and just working hard and just being so grateful for that. So yeah, that's probably it.